All right, good evening. Good evening. Welcome to Natural We Community Hour. We're really excited to start this hour and just be able to connect as a people to talk about things within our community. We are just very excited. So I thank everyone who is joining us this evening. Thank you for rolling with us with some of the technical delays, but we're going to go ahead and keep it pushing, keep it rolling. We know how to improvise, we know how to overcome, and we know how to adapt. So we are very excited to have our community hour. We are grateful to have our community hour. And just before I bring in our guest speaker, we just want to just kind of set the tone, just do a little bit of breathing. Today we're talking about mental health, and it's just really important to just settle and be present and mindful as we talk about mental health and talk about being able to stay in a good mental place. And one of the ways that Natural We does this is at the beginning of all of our events, right before everybody comes into our event, we actually come together in a circle and we do a breathing exercise. And so here we are. Just get comfortable where you are. If you're on the couch, you're in a chair, wherever it is you are, just kind of get comfortable in your seat and just begin to breathe. And so we invite you to breathe out through your mouth and breathe in. You can close your eyes as you continue to breathe out, or you can leave them open if that makes you feel more comfortable. And just breathe in. And we're going to continue on in that mode. Once again, breathe out and breathe in. And as we breathe out any stress, we breathe out any anxiety, and we breathe in. And we breathe in peace, and we breathe in love. And we breathe out haters. No, we breathe in friendship. And just continue to breathe out and breathe in. And as we do that, I have some African relaxation drumming in the background. And we just give thanks to God, the Creator, for this time. This time to come together. This time to be. We are grateful for our ancestors whose giants we stand on. Those who have already passed on, but they still live and breathe through us, in us. We carry the love that they have for us, the love for our individual and our family, but also the love of the people. And we invite you to continue to breathe in and breathe out and just be aware of this moment. And as we do this and as we breathe, we just settle here, understanding that we are grateful for who we are as a people. We are a magnificent people. We are a strong and resilient people with passions, with dreams, with goals, with pursuits. We rest in our humanity. We are people, and we are strong and passionate and powerful. And we continue to breathe in, and we continue to breathe out. And we are assured that we continue to prevail, we continue to win, we continue to laugh and be full of joy, and we are grateful that we have this moment, that we have this opportunity, that we are alive, living and breathing, that the spirit in us continues to dwell, continues to be, and stirs up our gifts, and we just rest in that. And so if you close your eyes, we invite you to continue to be comfortable and continue to join us as we have our community hour. And thank you for joining in this breathing exercise. And so today we are talking about mental health, and before that, Natural We Community is a nonprofit that is dedicated to the empowerment, celebration, healing of African people of African descent, no matter where they may be. We are based in Los Angeles, but we care about Black African people as a whole everywhere. Some of our events include financial literacy workshops. We've done self-care workshops. We've done school strategies and workshops. We've done how to find a good therapist workshop. And one of our staple events is a natural hair show, which I'll talk about later. But going into the self-care workshops, it's very important that as we attack issues of imperialism, colonization, racism, continued oppression, so on and so forth, it's important that we understand how to take care of ourselves mentally, physically, and emotionally. And today, our guest is Maisha Taylor Dunn. She is online now watching. We are having trouble bringing her in where you can see her face, but she is a licensed marriage and family therapist. And she is also the pastor of counseling at Emmanuel Praise Fellowship in Rancho Cucamonga in California. And so she is here to talk to us. She's going to be chatting and giving a lot of comments as we work through the technical difficulties, and we are just excited to have her. So hello, Maisha. You have seen her picture on our Facebook and Instagram page along with the flyer for the community hour, and there she is. She said hello everyone, and we see everyone who is watching. Timothy Bryant, who is our community and financial director, is also online. We have other viewers, so we just thank you all for watching and being with us. We are excited, and we continue to just roll. So in terms of mental health, one of the things that Maisha is getting ready to speak on, and then I'll also say what her answer is in terms of why is mental health important for people of African descent, and what does it mean? A lot of times we talk about this in terms of, oh, that automatically means you need to go to therapy. Therapy is part of taking care of mental health, but it's also what are we doing every day. We take care of our bodies with the way we eat, salads and things like that. But we also are taking care, and we take care of ourselves. We make sure we get sleep and things of that nature. We take care of our responsibilities, our jobs. We make sure that we are able to pay our bills and things like that. But what does it mean to take care of ourselves mentally, and why is it so important to focus on this in terms of people of African descent? And as you are watching and as you are hearing this, please feel free to type in questions. Feel free to engage this conversation. It is an important one, and we want to be able to, even with social distancing and everything, right, we still find ways to communicate, to fellowship, to be relational with one another. And so Maisha is getting ready to type in her response in terms of why mental health is so important, especially to people of African descent. We will continue. So while we're waiting for her response, for me, so she says it is important for us, meaning people of African descent, because we have experienced what is called complex trauma via enslavement and its aftermath, and have not been treated. We need treatment to get back to ourselves, who God created us to be, and what our ancestors led us to be. And this is very important. A lot of times people say, well, enslavement happened a long time ago, Civil War is over, and then after that we had the Civil Rights Movement, we have Black Power movement, so everything is good. But when we see the world and the way the world is moving, we see that the legacy of enslavement has carried forward. And so within that aftermath, what do we do, and why do we continue, and why do we talk about it? We talk about it because, not because we want to talk about the mistreatment and we want to focus on the mistreatment, but we talk about it, what have we done and what will we continue to do, because as we see, it's not over. And what we have experienced gives us tools to also figure out how to heal from the legacy of enslavement, and then to move forward to where it's no longer reactionary, but we are actively taking a role in our continued mental liberation. And so Maisha is coming from a therapy perspective, and I'm coming from a perspective of both of us, African Black Psychology, the Association of Black Psychologists, but also in terms of I am an adjunct professor in Pan-African Studies at Cal State LA, and I, as well as Cal State Long Beach, and I teach a class called African Psychology. And in that class, we talk about Kobi Kamban, and he talks about our experience. He's focusing on the United States, but you can take it into the Caribbean, Latin America, and even on the continent with colonization, that this experience that happened, he calls it the Maafa, which is a Kiswahili term, which means the great disaster. And so from this great disaster, there is this dis-ease, there is these things that have happened. And so culturally, as a people, how do we tap into ourselves? How do we tap into we, and be able to return to who we are in a manner that is healthy? So from there, we realize that there is a need for mental health. And so then why is there a push for cultural competence in mental health and now going into therapy? Throughout time, there has been a stigma on therapy, psychologists, psychiatrists, things of that nature. And one of the things we see is that the history has shown that Western psychology has not been beneficial to people of African descent. But as we look from the legacy of the Civil Rights Movement and the Black Power movement in the 1960s into the 70s, you see that there is the Association of Black Psychologists who's talking about cultural competency in psychology, and understanding that therapy does need to happen. And so what does it mean when you actually are going to see a therapist? And so Maisha is going to speak on cultural competency as it relates to mental health therapists. And again, Natural We, as we wait for Maisha to type in her response, Natural We is committed to this. Natural We is committed to the healing of our people in a healthy, emotionally, spiritually, physically, mental way, as we understand that when we're talking, like I said, the legacy that we were talking about before has hit on multiple fronts. And so it is exciting for us to be able to take the time to have a conversation about we in a manner that is beneficial to us, that for us, and what we will do for us and for ourselves as we continue to. So Maisha also said complex trauma means repeated trauma, and it's not necessarily the westernized form of treatment. The treatment that she is discussing is therapy that is culturally attuned to her roots, and treatment that allows us to see that she is human. Tim, I do not have a second phone to be able to call. that's one of the things that I was actually looking for earlier. But we'll make sure that we have it ready for next week. And then Maisha also said, in our trauma experience, we experienced things that made us feel inhumane, and now we need to heal. And so the healing becomes important. And so having the cultural competent mental health therapist allows us to be able to heal in a manner that continues to be beneficial towards our liberation. As Maisha continues to type, and we are looking to see alternatives to bringing her in as well, and continue to work on that and going from there. But as Maisha types in her response, thank you for those who are watching. We appreciate the support. We are excited for everything for the possibilities that are going on, and to be able to continue to work through this and going from there. Okay, Maisha is calling me, so we're going to see if we can be speaker, and work it from there. Let's see how that works out. Okay, Tim, I'm sending you Maisha's number so you can go on speaker and see if we can figure that out. We're still working on it. But once again, we're excited as we do this. I'll just share a little bit of history about Natural We. Natural We community started. I was a student at Dominguez Hills, and as a student at Dominguez Hills, we actually used to do Naturally Beautiful hair shows. And the Naturally Beautiful hair shows on campus continue to grow. They're wonderful to be part of. It was partly inspired by Ron Wilkins, who was a professor there. And while being part of it, it was I wanted to bring it to the community. I was like, we can help our people some way, somehow continue to do this. And so took a couple years to actually fully go after it and do it, and we did. We had associate directors and everybody come in, and so our first hair show for Natural We community was actually for a school called Marcus Garvey, and we brought in over $1,000 for them, and so it was great. And then from there, I see you, Maisha. And from there, people came up to me and was like, so when's the next event? And Tim, myself, another associate director, other people, we were like, yeah, we just wanted to do this once. And they're like, no, you got to keep going. And from there, we decided that the nonprofit was going to come, and so that's how Natural We came about. We then started doing the financial literacy workshops. From there, we've done Juneteenth celebrations. We are hoping that we can still do our next one. If not, we will figure out a way. And in the past 3.5 years, we have actually raised over $4,000 for 2 schools and 1 nonprofit, and we're very excited, and it's just been a blessing to see how we are able to gather around and be together. And we were set to have our next hair show this past March. COVID-19 did not let that happen, but it is okay because it's not canceled. It's just postponed. We will be supporting RBG Academy. We look forward to it. It's going to happen. And we will go from there. And Tim and Maisha, I see you guys still trying to work on it. I think at this point, we should just continue on with the typing. And then, Tim, you and I will regroup and figure out how. Okay, we can actually hear.
So
We can hear Maisha's voice. Tim, I can hear you guys.
get her on here?
Yes,
Okay,
I can hear.
Okay.
Okay, can you
See the
guys?
live. I don't know if she's able to hear you.
Janae, I see you online.
I'm here. I see
Can you hear?
myself.
Can you hear? Can you
Awesome.
guys
All
hear?
right, good. Perfect. Okay. So we've got Maisha online.
We have her. Janae, can you hear?
Can you see me?
Okay, we can't see on my end, Maisha, because you're in the messenger, but we can hear you. So people on Facebook Live can hear you, even though they can't see you.
Oh, okay.
So go ahead and I'm gonna give the floor to you.
Awesome. Thank you, Mr. Timothy.
So Maisha, if you
Okay.
want to introduce yourself and go ahead and move into what you were talking about.
Okay. So, hello, everyone. Thank you, Natural Week. Okay. Yes. I want to thank Natural Week for having me. My sound is delayed, so hopefully that doesn't cause too much confusion on your end. Did you all hear that?
Yeah, we can hear it.
Okay.
Yeah, you're good.
Okay. Okay. So what I was typing in the chat, the question was, what? Why do I believe that African descent people need mental health services? And I was typing that we have experienced complex trauma. And complex trauma is basically repeated trauma over and over and over again without us ever having received any treatment. Which means we've not received healing. And I believe that therapy is a vehicle that could be used towards our healing.
So what would you say to...
I want to highlight the fact that it's important that the therapy be culturally competent, culturally sensitive, culturally aware.
Maisha, are you there?
You had a question for me.
Oh, so I was just going to say with that,
Yeah.
how do you approach cultural competency within the therapeutic realm? And then I think that the delay is throwing you off, but not us. So you're hearing your echo, but not us.
It's definitely throwing me off. I'm sorry, y'all.
No worries. We're gonna roll with it.
So I do believe that culturally competent therapy can be addressed through training, knowledge, education, and openness and willingness by all clinicians to understand.
So when someone comes to you as a therapist, talking about,
I also think it's important that there are some clinicians that need to know. They can't treat us.
what makes a therapy session?
You had a question.
Yeah, what makes a therapy session culturally competent for people of African descent?
It's important for a therapist to understand that we are not pathology, that there is nothing wrong, there is nothing broken with us, aside from the fact that we need healing from trauma.
Do you have anything to add to that?
I also think it's important for therapists to be specifically trained.
So talking about that specifically,
trained in what we experienced in the enslavement, what we experienced after enslavement.
Right. I think it's really important that you touched on talking about our experience as it relates to knowing and understanding that with regards to mental health and therapy. In my African psychology class, before we really even talk about, quote unquote pathologies and disorders and things like that, we take a historical context approach, and talk about the history of us as a people, and not just starting in enslavement, but who were we in Africa? Were we the Akan Nation, the Yoruba Nation, the Dogon, and the Zulu, the Shona, so on and so forth? And what did culture look like then? What did therapy or mental health or self-care look like then? What was the worldview and way of life then, moving into now enslavement, colonization, so on and so forth, and then into the present, in order to have a knowledge and a grasp and an understanding of not only the oppression, but an understanding of how people of African descent view the world from a historical context. And now, what does that mean when we talk about therapy? I know for me, different times in therapy, I was told to that not go to church, and it was like, no, how has church and even with flaws, because we all have flaws, so we're not going to get into a big, huge discussion about flaws of the church and the church only, but the church has also been important to us as a people in resistance and healing, so on and so forth. So how does that play into understanding mental health on a spiritual basis as well? And I know that you're the pastor of counseling at Emmanuel Praise Fellowship, so if you could just touch on that a little bit.
we are a spiritual people first. And so our spirits engulf who we are. And so if therapy does not touch or treat our spirits, it's not going to be beneficial.
And so how do you blend the two in your practice?
And I really so for me, I come in with the knowledge of understanding that we're spirit first.
Right.
And that we need our spirit to be healed and whole. So we have to speak to the spirit person and help the spirit person to understand who they were. Before the trauma, before the pain, like you said, who were we before enslavement? So it often looks like spiritual affirmation. It looks like prayer. It looks like helping us to connect to the God in us. It looks like us connecting ourselves to scripture. For me, because I ascribe to scripture, it looks like connecting us to scripture. It looks like connecting us to our music, connecting us to our community. It looks like connecting us to our strengths and not just our weaknesses. The world does a good job of pointing out what we aren't. So in therapy, it is my job to point out what we are. And let me be clear, what they think we aren't. What they think we aren't.
Right. That's important.
And it's important for us to begin to look at why we have struggled so hard and so much, and help us to pull away the problem from our identity. We are not the problem.
Right.
The problem is the problem.
Mm-hmm.
It's important for us to hear our stories, share our pain, and understand that if we can separate our identity from the problem, then we can get healing.
Mm-hmm. Right. And that's so important. Like, we are not the problem. Who we are as a people, our identity, ourselves are not the problem. And so many times we go in thinking that we are the problem, instead of like there is this problem and naming the problem. And so I really appreciate what you're saying in terms of identifying the problem and in order to get to the healing. So we as a people are not non-human. The individuals that think we are non-human are the problem.
I don't know if you all can hear me, but I lost sound. I can't hear her.
We can still hear you. So as we work on that sound, I'm going to keep going. Let me know when you can hear me. And so being
we can still hear you. Okay.
So being able to talk about that and going from there.
I'm going to keep going.
We have a little bit of a delay. And going from there, and it's important when we're trying to ensure that we are able to go into therapy with an intention to heal. We're not going to therapy, or we're not talking about mental health with an intention of saying I'm just horrible, or I am not able to do anything. Like, no, there's a disease, and because of the disease, there are these symptoms. Some of these symptoms might be anger. Some of these symptoms are when there's a police car behind me, I get scared. And so how do I deal with that and go from that now, and being able to still move and navigate in this world in a way where we hold our head up high, when we allow ourselves to move and maneuver in a way where we are not going to put our head down just because somebody else is walking past the street, or we're not going to move away just because somebody else needs to hold on to her purse a little bit closer. Well, they can be the ones to step off the sidewalk, because we're not going to set aside our pride, our culture, and our humanity for them who don't even realize the power that we have and exist with. And being able to, and a lot of that starts with admitting and then having the faith and the perseverance and the tenacity and confidence within ourselves to know and understand that we are able to heal, to know and understand that we are able to be, and we are able to be we. And so, yes, these things may have happened. Yes, these things may make us anxious sometimes, but I am not always going to be anxious. I am not always going to be looking over my shoulder, because I believe that I am more than well, because I believe that I am more than a conqueror. And so why are we able to believe? We talk about ancestors all the time, but what do we really mean when we say we stand on the shoulders and giants of our ancestors? When we say that we stand on the shoulders of our ancestors, we are saying that we stand along with their power. We stand along with their grace. We stand along with their perseverance and their tenacity, and we take the lessons that they gave us in order to survive. So if our ancestors are able to survive the beatings and the whippings with still a song in them, we are able to still survive anything with a song in us. If our ancestors are able to face down dogs and all of these things with their prayers and with their scriptures and with their hopes, then so are we. Maisha said the symptoms are all connected to our traumatic past, but we must realize it is time to stop blaming our past and waiting for them to give us the respect we deserve. We must take our healing in our own hands by using tools accessible to us. So we don't wait for somebody who doesn't even want us to heal, for somebody who doesn't even want us to exist. We don't wait for them to give us permission to heal. We claim our autonomy, we claim who we are, and we heal ourselves. We as a people heal ourselves. We as a people love ourselves. We as a people be. and we take the tools. There's Sankofa, we turn the source, we turn back in order to go forward. So what were we as a people doing? What were the Zulu people doing? What were the Akan people doing? What were the Yoruba people doing? What were the Shona people doing? We as a people were praying. We as a people were singing. We as a people were community. So when we walk down and see each other on the street, we say hello. We as a people show love and are able to love. And when there is a problem, we begin to address it. Maisha says that cultural competent therapy connects us to our story. We are a people who use stories to learn and grow. And cultural competent therapy connects us back to the core and root of ourselves. So I said before that I've been in therapy, and one of the best ways that I saw a cultural competent therapy work for me is the therapist showed where I was in history. She showed looking at family and things and connecting, and she was like, well, you sing, you're part of a legacy of Black African people who continuously sing, and so how can you use your singing voice to help heal? And so as much as we may, when we feel sad or something like that, as much as we may use Mary J, I'm going down, at the same time, we're going down, okay, so we're sad, or drawing upon the spirituals. So I feel like a motherless child. But we don't stay there. So when we're using the music, especially those who are in music therapy, if we're using the music, then what's the next song? So we identify the problem. The problem is I'm going down. The problem is I feel like a motherless child because of these factors. But now what do we do? Where do we go? Maisha said a culturally competent therapist has knowledge of our story and are able to feel compassion, or at least be able to be open and willing to learn. And so moving there, and so using that knowledge of the spiritual, that knowledge that music has always told our story from conception to the grave and beyond, then going forward, now what's another song that's going to help get me out of the feeling down? What is a song that's going to help heal and have the faith and the perseverance and the confidence and the self-esteem that healing is possible? There's a song by Twista and Faith Evans, and it's a song called Hope. And the chorus, Faith Evans, she says, I'm hopeful for today. Take this music and use it. Let it take you away. And we're hopeful that will make a way. I know it ain't easy, but that's okay because we're hopeful. And so if I'm going from being down, I'm going down to I'm hopeful. What does that do in our transition? And what does that do in our mind and that thinking as we move forward in a manner that is healing? Maisha, if you can also give us some tips in terms of how do we find a therapist, or what, and while you're typing that, I'm going to move into what are some things that we can also do at home. So Maisha is going to give us some bullet points when she's typing about how to find a therapist even in the midst of COVID-19 and moving beyond COVID-19. And then I'm going to focus on what are some things that we can do at home as we take care of our mental health, even though we're quarantined. So some of the things that I tell my students is to have a morning and night routine. So in the morning, how are you getting yourself ready for the day? How are you getting yourself mentally prepared for the day? Are you waking up and so that you're rushing and so your whole day feels rushed? Or are you waking up so that you can take some time and listen to that that 5-7 song playlist that's going to get you ready for the day. I used to play basketball, and so for our warm-ups, we made a CD where we were ready for the game. One of the first songs that we had on that CD was "Re Ready" by Archie. And so, what is going to get you grounded in the day? Are you making time to pray? Whether your car ride is your time to pray, or you wake up a little bit early to pray, or even now, so not necessarily going to a car, but getting ready to go to your Zoom meeting. Are you eating well? It's been shown that eating affects our mood. And what does that do? And then you go throughout the day. There's also the Calm app. Sometimes we just need a minute. So you saw the breathing exercise that we went through at the beginning of the live video. That's just a way to just kind of ground yourself. Or maybe you just had a stressful Zoom call. Maybe you just had it's going crazy and the kids are finally down for their nap and you need a minute. There's something called the Calm app that plays ocean sounds or water sounds, or plays a fireplace, whatever the sound is that makes you happy. I always pick the ocean. And it'll take you through a meditation or a breathing exercise, or you can make up your own. You can go to YouTube and type in African drumming healing music and pick the one that you want. And then you can say your own affirmations. One of the things that I say repeatedly throughout the day is, we are more than well. I am more than well. You are more than well. We will be more than well. Or I'll say, God, I thank you that I am more than a conqueror. God, I thank you that I'm already calm. God, I thank you that I'm living my best life, whatever it is to continue. And then sometimes the prayer will still come. God, I feel tired right now, but I thank you that I'm already have the energy that I need. And do this, and I do this at night as well. And it doesn't have to be the exact way that I do it. You find your routine and your rhythm in the way that helps you. Maisha said, in terms of finding a culturally competent therapist. So this is moving beyond what I focused on in terms of what can you do on your own, but now you need a little bit of help. And so she says, call your insurance and ask for a Black therapist if that's what you prefer. If they don't have one, demand. So we're taking ownership. We're not just letting it slide by. Demand they pay for you to go to one out of network. You may have to pay up front and they reimburse, but demand it and don't let up. So, we keep knocking on the door. Like, this is what you need to do. This is what we need to do. And then she also said, go to these websites. Therapy for Black Girls. I'll say it again. Therapy for Black Girls. Psychology Today. It says the Boris Hinton Foundation. These are in the comments, and I'll type them up and put them as well. Again, the Therapy Den. Therapy for Black Me, and Black Therapist Rocks. And again, these are in the comments, and then I'll also type them up and put them in on our Natural We page. So this is the Natural We community page. There is a group called Community Resources, and in the Community Resources, I will put I'll type it up and put the names of the websites that Maisha gave in there. And as we start beginning to wrap up, Maisha, if there is anything else that you want to say at all, please let us know. She says, get in therapy, stay connected, find a way to connect with others. It is in our DNA to connect and be community. Be active, get outside. Anything else that you want to say at all? What does it say? Get outside and get vitamin D. Take a walk. Enjoy nature. Engage in hobbies. trainings and skills and workshops that are being offered online, low cost and free. She said that the Boris Henson is offering free therapy. So Boris Henson Foundation is offering free therapy. And as we engage in hobbies, as we, take advantage of trainings and skills and workshops, it is also okay to feel. We don't have to hide our emotions and who we are. We don't have to, if we're feeling sad, it's okay to feel sad. That might be something in our spirit saying, hey, deal with this in therapy or deal with this in journaling and writing it out, because it's going to heal you. You confront what's making you sad. You confront what's making you mad. And it is okay to feel. It is okay to want to take a day and rest. And it is okay to just go on ahead and I'm going to binge watch today. But then we are mindful of when it's causing us to be unproductive. So it goes from rest to just unproductiveness. Maisha said that she can be reached at Maisha, so Myesha T Dunn, DUNN, at gmail.com. And Maisha, we are just so grateful for you. We thank you for you taking the time at our first Natural We Community Hour to be with us. Again, we apologize for the technical difficulties, but we made it through. There was a problem. The symptom was that we don't get to see your face on here, but we figured out a way to continue to overcome, to keep going, to rise to the occasion as we always have. And to our viewers, to those who gave the hand raised and talked about the identity and what you were resonating with during this community hour, we thank you. We appreciate it. Tim, our community director, our associate director, thank you for trying to get Maisha with the sound. It worked for a little while. We are grateful. And Maisha said, thank you, Natural We. I love you all. We love you too. And when Natural We says that we love you, yes, we love Maisha, but we love our people. We love we. And we do this because we love, and we do this because we know that it is important. And as I say, we all we got. At the end of the day, we are all we got. We see what's happening in this world, and so we say reconnect to who we are, reconnect to what we do, reconnect to what we love, and moving forward and going from there. We will have another community hour next Thursday at 6 p.m. I think I'm forgetting. Natural We Community is honoring our grads, our high school and college grads. So if you want to be acknowledged, or you have a son, daughter, niece, nephew, auntie, uncle, whoever it is who is scheduled to graduate, who is a 2020 graduate, we want to take the time to honor them. We will be honoring them. We have something very special in store for them. So please, if you want to be a part, please send a picture of the grad along with the name of the school they are graduating from to naturalwecommunity@gmail.com. Tim, if you can put our email in the comment box. naturalwecommunity@gmail.com. Please submit the picture by May 1st. And we will have something in store. Coming up at our next Natural We Community Hour will be Janae Gardner of RBG Academy, and she will be talking about she has developed a Black homeschool curriculum, teaching our children, our history, as well as what they need to be able to navigate and move and engage and be excellent in this society as they already are, and be who they are and be able to walk proudly and stand proudly. So we're excited to have Janae Gardner of RBG Academy next week. And some other ones coming up in store. We will be talking about fitness. We will be talking about we will be featuring some Black-owned businesses. Sandra Lorraine Coleman of Sacred Gems. I'm actually wearing her jewelry today. So if a lot of times at our events, you see me wearing her jewelry. She will be talking about her jewelry. We have we have a pastor who will be talking about being a Black pastor and offering encouraging words, all of these sorts of things. So we are just excited, and we are here for you. If there is a need, we like we said, we're community. So if there is a need, please feel to email us, to message us. We're also on Instagram as Natural We Community, and we will find the resource. We will find if one of us can't do it, we will find the resource to be able to help you and get the assistance that you need. So again, we're excited. Thank you for joining us, and just please, continue to take care of you in a holistic manner in all that you can. And know that you have support, know that you have love, know that you are not alone, and that we are more than well. So we just thank you, take care, and have a good evening. Bye.